As the media chases one Trump administration scandal after another, a new financial crisis is looming. Experts say that the consequences of this impending financial crisis will be wide-reaching and even worse than the 2008 economic chaos. Donald Trump is already making good on his promise to loosen restrictions on the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, which was signed by Obama in 2010. On February 14th, Trump signed a measure curbing Dodd-Frank imposed rules on energy and mining companies. It's precisely this type of deregulation that economists warn will undoubtedly spur a catastrophic financial collapse. But what brought us to this point? Well, the Dodd-Frank legislation was assembled after the devastating 2008 financial crisis. At the time, public outrage aimed at the nation's public sector was palpable, and this legislation was aimed to temper that rage. While Dodd-Frank made a few select institutions safer as a result of the bill's constraints, it's far from ideal. There's been little genuine regulation, thanks in part to massive loopholes in the derivatives trading, banks still being permitted to gamble with FDIC-insured money, and unreformed credit rating agencies. In addition, many of the so-called too-big-to-fail banks have exploded in size. In 2013 alone, the country's 6 largest banks owned a staggering 67% of all assets of the U.S. financial system, a 37% increase from 2008. Dodd-Frank has failed to produce economic recovery or prevent a future crisis because it ignored the roots of the 2008 meltdown, which is a self-serving central bank policy that has gone unaddressed for over a century. Acknowledging that central bank manipulation, monetary policy put forth by the Federal Reserve, as an underlying structural cause of the 2008 crisis is a necessary first step. Now, Trump can either allow the Fed to further inflate the bubble, or he can force interest rates to increase in order to establish the foundations for economic growth. Both will create unemployment and bring economic difficulties to average Americans. Ultimately, Trump will likely focus on loosening existing banking regulations rather than imposing new ones, and this could potentially accelerate the bursting of the bubble. No matter what path he takes, Trump will face major hurdles in making America great again. With the stakes never having been higher, the choice is likely to define his presidency. To find out more,